Welcome back, U.S. history students. I hope everyone had a nice weekend. We're going to be picking up with our study of Unit 2 in U.S. history. And a quick reminder, this is focusing on the Revolutionary Era. Okay, before we get started, a reminder that today this assignment is the start of marking period 2. So let's focus on getting off to a strong start in this marking period by completing this first classwork assignment. All right, so we'll get into aim and do now quickly. Whoopsies. All right, so for our aim, we have how can we identify the goal of Thomas Paine's common sense? Okay, so we're looking into one of the more influential texts that comes about in the colonial era. It's written by an individual named Thomas Paine, and he titles his work Common Sense. And that title alone will give us some information in regards to the messaging of this pamphlet. Okay, so today we're going to be figuring out what is the goal of this text, and also we're going to be really once again looking into how does this text illustrate the relationship between the British and the colonists. So before we get into Thomas Paine's Common Sense, we'll go to the Do Now. And the Do Now for today asks, what sparked the Boston Tea Party? How did it impact relations between colonists and the British? So once again, this goes back to Thursday's classwork, all right, which focused in on the Boston Tea Party, the events that led to the Tea Party. And then you guys were kind of classifying that event as either activism or vandalism in your eyes. Okay, so look back on that classwork and respond to the Do Now, and then we'll pick up with some historical context to get us going. Okay, so some background information. So Thomas Paine was born in England to a poor Quaker father and Anglican mother, and left school at the age of 13 to work with his father as a corset maker. He tried a variety of occupations, including being a tax collector on liquor and tobacco, none successful. After meeting Benjamin Franklin in London, he emigrated to the colonies in the late 1774 and got a job editing the Pennsylvania Magazine. Tensions between England and the colonies were high, and Paine soon leapt into the fray. So Thomas Paine is arriving at the colonies as these tensions are arising. He's arriving really right around the Boston Massacre. He's witnessing the Boston Tea Party, and he's being welcomed into the colonies during a time when there is a lot of animosity towards the British. After the Battle of Lexington Concord, April 19, 1775, Paine concluded that the revolt should be aimed not just at unjust taxation, but in favor of full independence. So very quickly, in almost a year, Paine comes to the conclusion that it is necessary for the colonists to fight for full independence. And he spells his arguments out in Common Sense, which is a 50-page pamphlet that was published in 1776. It was an immediate sensation. More than 100,000 copies were sold within 3 months, and possibly as many as 500,000 copies altogether. More than any other single publication, Paine's Common Sense persuaded public opinion for the case for independence from Great Britain. So Thomas Paine's pamphlet is very persuasive in this movement towards independence from the British. And today we're going to be looking at 3 different sections to figure out what is his messaging, what's his reasoning, and then how does this illustrate those relations between the British and the colonists. Okay, so we have the first reading right here, and I've given you some instructions on the top. So it says instructions, read passages 1 through 3, and these are 3 short excerpts, and they touch upon different topics. All right, read through each passage and circle unfamiliar words. Read the text and highlight or underline the line or segment that you feel was the most important within the passage. And we're going to the questions first, so we have a lens for our reading. All right, so the first question is summarize in your own words the main idea of the text. So once again, we're trying to summarize what is the main message that Paine is making in this section. The secondary question is, how does this reading portray the relationship between the British and the colonists? So we're looking for the main message. And then the secondary aspect of what we're looking for is, how does this portray the relationship between the British and the colonists? Once again, something that we've stressed in our responses, it shouldn't just be this is good, this is bad. All right, we need to include the why. Why is something positive? Why is something negative? Refer back to a piece of information in the text to support your explanation. All right, so if you look at the actual document you have, you can see this was the first section we just talked through, and then you're just repeating those steps for the other two readings. To conclude, all right, we have a source analysis chart, and this is really trying to have you guys think about the source in a detailed manner. All right, so we're going to be looking at audience listener, we're looking at the author, what's the document's content, the purpose, the type of document, and the historical context. So this is really looking at the source itself, but also trying to place the source in this unit that we have been focusing on. So if you have any questions or concerns today, I will be hosting Zoom office hours during all class periods, so you can use the Zoom link that's posted on Google Classroom. If it's a brief question, feel free to use the comment feature and I'll respond as soon as possible. Or you can shoot me an email if it's a lengthier question. Hope everyone is having a good day, and I will talk with you soon.